Production was about the nation state being the regulating authority and about the frontiers being the shape of the economy. The economy had an internal, every country had like a barrier around it. And the economy of each country was to be balanced inside it. So you had to control your interest rate, and you had to control your fiscal things, and you have your budget, and you have your thing. And the economy was very much determined within each country by these actions of the state. Trade was something that you controlled. So you have a surplus, you have a deficit, you have this, you have how, you would put barriers up, you would put tariffs, you would control, so that trade wouldn't disrupt your growth, but rather would enhance it. So this was the way the whole thing was conceived, and Keynesian policies were mass production policies. In fact, what he said was increase, if you have a problem, throw a lot of money out so you have demand. So he had people breaking up, he said, make people break up roads and then fix them and then pay them salaries, and they will then. So that was a national policies, and what happened internationally was that you would have trade or investment or whatever, but they were flows that were clearly between countries. Globalization is not that. The companies that are today globalized are truly globalized, even though they continue to have their headquarters and all that in one country. They really do use the local people, and they do want the local development. They want to have knowledge-intensive services in the place, not the way it used to be, where you just sent like almost a little clone of yourself to the other country. They do want that development because it's good for them. So there is a positive sum game open by these global companies. Some of them, of course, are still behaving the old way. Bad habits die hard. But there are many that are really, really acting globally. So you have global actors that are production companies that have decomposed their whole value chain and put it in different places, studying the situation and coordinating it within this thing, so that in fact nobody can any longer control the internal economy and trust that they're doing so, because the channels through which these things pass are internal to the companies. They're not the real frontiers. Because anything that goes through the internet passes invisibly. Nobody can stop it. So you sell services, you move money, you do all sorts of things in a completely uncatchable way. There is no frontier. So globalization is about that phenomenon, where the power of the institutions of each country cannot capture what's happening, you are always acting within, like you're like floating in the sea. So there are waves and there are things that don't depend on you. It used to be almost like a hydraulic model. You have too much water, let's let some out. You have too little water, pump some in. You were sort of like pushing in the world economy and your economy. You had a true barrier. Now you don't.